Okay, we're back, and it's COMP397 Web Game Programming, Week 4, Lesson 4, Part 3. And we just left off talking about this little frames per rate counter, right? Or frames per second counter, I'll be okay. FPS counter, which is really a stats counter from stats.js. I'm just going to kind of close this off. And this is my file. I'm going to stop debugging here where we left off. This is my stats counter. I've kind of positioned it absolutely on my right. You can position it where you feel comfortable doing it, right? But in the future, we'll see how this comes into play because we'll see if our game suffers in terms of the number of objects we put onto it. Okay? So let's just recap here. We're preloading our objects. Here's our preloader where we're mentioning what we're loading up. Here's our preloading function, our init function, and our setup stats method. So it's getting kind of long, eh? And this is probably a good space to stop to create our template. So in order for me to do that, I'm going to kind of pin Solution Explorer on again. And then now it's a good time to go to my Team Explorer and do a commit. Remember, we're committing this to GitHub, right? So I'm going to say added stats class. Added stats class. Okay, cool. I'm going to commit. There's my commit, right? For this one, and I'm going to go to Home, Unsync Commits, and click Sync. And then what that's going to do is, now that I've set it up in Visual Studio, it's going to sync up with GitHub. Let's go to GitHub and check to see if it's there. So I'm going to go to github.com. I'm going to go to my repository, and the last one that I updated will be at the top, which is this one here, Lesson 2, Part 2, which is the one I'm working on. And again, if you want to fork me, there's a few people to fork me already. You can certainly go in there and fork me, and then if you haven't got this done. Okay, but we need to move on from this. I need to create a new boilerplate document that we're going to be using from now on. This is going to be where we're basing it off of, but I want you to, it actually has to be called something like boilerplate, some kind of CreateJS boilerplate for Web, COMP397 or something. Well, first, we got to do a couple things, right? One, we should really just close all this stuff off, because here's how I'm going to make my template, right? I'm going to do this. I'm going to go File, follow me here. Let's do it together. Export template, right? Here's my, it's called the project template, right? I'm going to go next, and I'm going to make it, instead of COMP397 Lesson 2 Part 2, of course I'm going to rename this to COMP397 CreateJS boilerplate, right? So this is the boilerplate or my template that I'm going to be using from now on for the course, right? So I'm going to kind of put it in here. I'm going to say in my description field in here, I'm going to say template for CreateJS projects, right? I'll leave the other stuff unchecked. If you're really creative, you could also include an icon image and a preview image here. And Visual Studio allows you to do that, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to accept the default images. Okay, and then we're going to click Finish. File. So how I did this, I went to File, Export Template, and then I got to this Export Template Wizard. Okay, I'm going to click Finish. When I click Finish, it's going to bring up a zip version of my template, COMP397 CreateJS boilerplate. And I already have one from before, right? I created it in January. So I'm just going to get rid of this one. You can always get rid of the templates you created by doing this. Okay. So now here's my COMP397 CreateJS boilerplate. Also online, just to make sure that I'm clean, right? I'm going to go up on my GitHub because I already have one. I may already have a template that I'm going to delete because I want to be on the same page as you guys, right? So I'm going to go to COMP397, right? And filter out and make sure that I don't have a repository that already has the template. And I do. It was created in January 26th, the last time I did this course, right? So I'm going to go in there and I'm going to show you how to delete a repository now. You're going to go into Settings when I delete my repository, right? And here I am on COMP397 boilerplate. My repository name I need, so I'm going to kind of copy this one. I'm going to go down to where it says Danger Zone. Danger, danger. You delete this, it's gone. If you delete your repository, you never can get it back. It's gone. Delete this repository. I'm going to put in the name of my repository, which is what I need to do. And then it says, I understand the consequences, delete the repository. Once I do that, I can never get it back. There's nothing you can do to recover it. Click. All right, it's gone. Now I'm going to create a new one. So I'm going to go add one, a new repository, right? I'm going to create the same name. So it's going to be called COMP397-create.js-boilerplate, right? That's what it's going to be called. That's for you guys to use, just in case. And this is going to match up with the name I made here. Look, COMP397 create.js-boilerplate. Oh, boilerplate with a capital P. Why not? And when I'm done, I can press create repository, and I'm going to get my URI, right? Okay, I've got my URI. I'm ready to actually make a repository that you guys can clone if you need to. So you have exactly what I have, all right? With the right name and everything. Okay, fine. I'm going to go File, Close Solution now because I haven't closed my solution. And I'm going to open up my new boilerplate. So I'm going to go File, New, Project, right? And I'm going to pick up, well, guess what I'm going to make, right? I'm going to go into, instead of web, I'm going to have to go into Visual C#. And if I skip down here, where it says near the bottom, it's going to show COMP397 create.js boilerplate. I have two of them for some reason. Oh no, here's one. Well, this is the one I want because this one is deleted. So I'll have to kill that later on. So here it is. I'm going to get to this one, and I'm going to load this one up, boilerplate, like this, because I want this one. Okay, here's my boilerplate, right? It's exactly the same as what I had before. If I run this thing, it should run perfectly exactly the same as my other one did, with no differences, right? This is exactly it, right? Okay, cool. Let me stop this now. Let's go back in here. All right, so a couple things have changed. So I've got this piece, right? But I need to add in my GitHub repository, right? So I'm going to kind of do two things. I'm going to go home. I'm going to go to changes and look at all these things are being added in. I also have a couple of untracked files here at the bottom, which I'm going to make sure are tracked, right? So I'm going to add all. So these are all the files here in my repository for the first time. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to say, from now on, if I want to make this repository work, so I'm just sharing it with you so you see it, right? For now, I already have everything I need. I don't have to do this, right? But I'm doing it for you guys. So I'm going to create a new repository. I'm going to say created, create.js boilerplate. Yeah, there we go. Commit. It's only going to be two commits now. Okay, so I'm going to go home, unsync commits. I'm going to drop in my URI. This is the new. Oh, that's not the one. I'm going to drop in my URI. I killed my GitHub. Hold on a second here. GitHub. I'm going to go to me, my new repository. Here it is. Grab my URI in a monotone voice and put it in here. And click publish. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to refresh my GitHub. And now this is the one you want to fork. This is the exact repository. If you guys want to match with me, right? It's the right name, COMP397 create.js boilerplate. And it's the one, if you want to fork it, this will be the one to fork. This is the one we're going to base all of our future projects on. Okay? So you can always find it under COMP397 and search for this first one, create.js boilerplate. Okay, cool. Well, let's try that again. So how do I do that? So file, close solution, right? I'm closed up, I've got nothing. And now I'm going to base it off my new template. So I'm going to go file, new project, right? And I'm going to go to my template. It's the one with the dashes, this one. I'll get rid of this one later, right? And press OK. Okay, there it is. Now I've got my new boilerplate. Now if you notice, I've accepted the name COMP397 create.js boilerplate 1, right? And because I've accepted everything, it's actually in my GitHub library. So if I go to my GitHub library, leave this open for a second. Oh look, oh yeah, it's there. Okay. If I go to my GitHub library, then I'm going to have COMP397, and there's boilerplate, and boilerplate 1, and boilerplate 1. Lots of boilerplates, right? So I want to get rid of some of these because this is just crazy, right? So how do I do that? Well, I know that my boilerplate, this dash boilerplate, is the one I want. That's made today, May 26th, right? These ones I can get rid of because these are just copies of the same thing. So I get rid of this one. Oh, actually, first of all, I should probably close down my solution. Otherwise, it'll go meh. I'm just cleaning up my files here to show you how to do this again. Yeah, see? See? I can't just close down my solution. I got to close Visual Studio down because it's reserving those files because they're open, right? So I'm going to go here, and I don't want to get rid of anything else. I don't want to get rid of this one. This is the new one, May 26th, but this one, this old one, or boilerplate 1, this is a copy of the other one, so I'm going to kind of get rid of that. And I probably want to get rid of this from January 26th because I don't need that anymore. So I'm going to get rid of that one. Now, if you want to know where your files are stored, everyone's installation happens in different places. Mine happens, if I'm not wrong, in my Documents folder under, if I'm not wrong, Visual Studio, right? So here's Visual Studio 2013. And inside there, I have something called Templates. Let me just make sure it's not the same place. Yeah, it isn't. I have Templates. If I go in there, and there's Project Templates, right? There's my Project Templates. And if I go to TypeScript, right, they have different templates you can put in here. Here's Visual C#. I'm on again, right? But where's mine? How can I find my custom templates? Because that's what I want, right? The structure is like that. So there's item templates. These are all the item templates. And this is something that Visual Studio has pre-installed for you. All the stuff that's in here. Visual Web Developer and so on, right? That's what's under templates, right? And same thing with code snippets, if you make your own code snippets or whatever. But this is under Documents, Visual Studio, My Exported Templates, which is right here, this one. Okay. But it also does is it takes this and saves it somewhere in here inside your Visual Studio code. So if I ever want to delete a template, I could search for it and do that. So let's say delete Visual Studio template. How do I do that, right? And it gives you how to do it with Stack Overflow. I'm not going to go through that right now, right? But you can definitely figure out one of these things. And I'll do my own templates. I'll clean up my templates on my own. But again, I would refer you back to your API documentation on how to take care of that if you made a template you don't want to keep. Because otherwise, every time you open your project, just like mine, I'm going to have two of my templates. One, that's the old one, and one, that's the new one, and they're almost identical. Right? So if I'm going to go to New project, this is where you're going to go now. Visual C#, you've made your template, not web. Web is the default template, which is ASP.NET Web Application. This is your default template. I want to have Visual C#, because that's what we're basing it off of. And go down until you find your template. In my case, it's the dashes. That's what I made today. COMP397 Create.js boilerplate, right? And if I click onto that on the right, it shows me template for Create.js projects. On the bottom, right here, it shows me the name of my default template, COMP397 Create.js boilerplate. Let's call it COMP397 calculator. So I'm going to make a new file off of it. That's my new file called calculator, right? Tomorrow you're going to make another file for your exam. It's going to be called exam1, whatever you're going to make. But it's going to be based off of your Create.js boilerplate template. So you don't have to make it from scratch. That's the point, right? And press OK. Here's my calculator. So I want to make a calculator, right? And there's a couple things I can do here. I can get some custom buttons, right? I need to add them into my, this is my little calculator project, right? That I want to make with you guys today. Okay, in my assets, I have an images for a pink button. That pink button is no longer necessary, and neither is the sound file that I have for my assets, my audio. Clicked wave. I don't need these two things. This is just a template, so it reminds me how to use my stuff. I'll leave it there for now, but later on we'll change it. 320 by 480 is probably a good size for a calculator because that's what kind of a calculator looks like. So I'm okay with the size of my index.html, my canvas that I have in my index.html, and there it is, right? 320 by 480. So this is okay, right? I definitely need to change my title from COMP397 Lesson 2 Part 2. I probably want to change that to calculator. All right, there's my calculator. And maybe if I spell it right, that would even be better. Calculator, right? And maybe we'll call it HTML5 calculator. There it is. All right, so it's HTML5 calculator. I don't have a calculator yet, and I need some assets. So before I start, I want to plot this out. How's my calculator going to look, and what keys am I going to have? guys, what should I do? Should I just do a random UI for my calculator that I'm making up right now? The answer is probably not, right? I don't recommend that, right? So how do we make our UI? Well, I'm just going to go back to my tools that I gave you guys. I'm going to go to Web Tools, right? And if you look down here, I got this wireframe section where I can pull in, if I go to mockups, right? Here's mockups.com, right? I'm going to try it now, or it says try it now. And I'm going to get rid of all this stuff, right? I can do it here. Get rid of it. Here we are. And you know what? I want to create a little mock-up for my calculator. So before I start, I want to kind of come up with something to make it look like a calculator. Well, I know that I need a window. So this is my window, right? This is what's going to look like for my window itself, right? If I want to, by the way, if you notice, it tells you the exact height and width. If I right-click onto it or click onto it, there it is. It shows me, first of all, it's Mac. I can make Mac or Windows, so they're different styles, or none. So I don't have a style at all. So no Mac or Windows, right? I like Mac because mine's going to look like on a Mac. But if I wanted to make it Windows for you guys, let's make it Windows. All right. My text is 14 font and so on, right? Again, I'm making this. This is just a free tool. There's lots of other tools out there that I want. If you notice on the top that it says left is where it's going to appear, 316.44. That's the exact location. And my width and my height, I want to make it so it matches my screen, 320 by 480. So I want to plot it out so that it looks identical to the space I have, right? So that's the space, that's the size of my window now, 320 by 480. Okay, cool. I want to drop some stuff in there, and I want to approximate where it is. So I need some buttons. And on the left, I can probably get some kind of buttons, or at least rectangles or something, so that I can kind of start plotting out what my my screen is going to look like. Okay, so let's see if I can get some rectangles. So I'm going to just drag a rectangle in here. So here's my rectangle, right? So I definitely need, actually there's a couple things. I need an area up here where I'm going to have my viewport where my results are going to show. Right now this looks like it's approximately here at 273 width by 58 height. I don't want to make this kind of a better width than that. So let's try and make it so that's 280. Let's see how 280 to 180 looks. That's not bad. And my height is 58. Let's make it something like 60. So 280 by 60. See what I'm doing here, right? I'm plotting it out, right? Before I actually do any kind of design or download any objects or anything like that, I'm plotting out what my window is going to look like, all right? Okay, the actual location is kind of weird too. My left is, now this is absolute left, right? So if I want to be accurate, what I want to do is move this to the left, exactly at 0, 0, and move this to the left, so that way I know approximately where it's going to be. And if you notice this little guideline comes up, right? That tells me it's approximately in the middle. Okay, there it is. Okay. The next thing is I need buttons, right? Because I want at least, some number buttons, right? That's got to go here. And they've all got to be a bunch of different buttons. So let's kind of put the number button in there. And I'm going to resize the number button and copy it and paste it a bunch of times, right? So let's say I think it should at least be something like 50 by 50, my button, or 60 by 60 probably is a good size. So instead of me fooling around with it manually, I'm just going to do it automatically. So I'm going to go 60, or numerically, 60 by 60, right? So that way it's an accurate button. My figuring is about 60 by 60, all right? And you know what? I probably want some text in there as well, like a label. So I'm probably going to put that in there right away, and then I'll copy and paste everything over and over again, right? So let's get my label, drag it in there, right? And my text for my label, I'm going to double click, and I'm going to change this to 1, because the calculator has like a 1 on it or whatever, right? Actually, if you want to follow the numeric keypad, right, which is probably the right way to do it, instead of 1, 2, 3, it's 7, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, right? If I wanted to do it that way. The best way to actually look at it is to actually look at a calculator that exists. So before we know which way to do it, right, because we're just guessing in our little calculator, I'm just going to pull up a calculator. Let's try a skin. If I can type calculator. And I'll go to images, and let's take a look at what a calculator would look like, because I'm making something like a calculator for me. And like I was right, look, the buttons start off like this. Here's an example: 7, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 0, a double zero, and a period. I don't know if I need a double zero, but I definitely wouldn't mind the 0 like this. So 7, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. Why is it made like this? It matches your numeric keypad on your machine, on your computer. And a lot of these calculators are made this way. Right now, without going into too much theory about how a calculator is made, and blah, 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 who cares, right? We want to make this 7. Okay, that's the first thing. So we know this number is 7, right? And this is important because when we start mapping things out like this, like I told you, right? Let me make it so it's 26 point. That's probably not bad, right? There's our 7 button. Would you say that's good? If you want to make it bigger, if you want to make this a little bigger, I can make this, oops, I can make this bigger so it's not 26, maybe 28 would be fine. Yeah, 28 is slightly bigger. So, and again, I'm going to center this thing so it's in the middle approximately. Again, I'm using one tool, guys, to make this happen. You guys can use any tool you want. Okay, I'm going to copy this thing now. Let's see if I can copy and paste. Yes, I can. The tool allows me to do that. I'm going to move my next button over here. So 7, 8, 9. I need some space for my calculations. So I'm going to kind of put it on the same line, you know, approximately at 90, let's say. And now I'm going to go in here. Oops, click away. Go in here and plot 8. Okay, and then Control V, and then there we go. Now you guys are watching paint peel, but I want you to design your interface this way. Now this is a good practice because when we do our next project, our assignment number 2, you're going to make a slot machine, right? And you need to put up your buttons just exactly the same way we're doing it here. So I'm showing you how I would do it with some kind of wireframing program like this. 9. Okay, cool. I've got all these now. I might as well just, now that the positioning is correct, I'm going to grab all these things, these elements here. Oops, not that one. This one, oops, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. And then copy this one and paste that one. And pull it down. Let's say 200. No, I think 205. Or 204, 204. Again, yours doesn't have to be like exactly like mine. I'm going to do it one more time. Right, so I got all my buttons going. Okay, and I need one button down here, which is going to be my button for my 0. All right. Approximately. All right, make sense? So I'm designing my buttons. So this is here, this is 4. And I'm clicking away to do this. 5, click away. 6, click away. 1, 2, 3. And this one is going to be 0. All right, so I have my buttons. When I click these buttons, I want up here to show 1, 2, 3, whatever it's going to be. Whatever the number is going to be, it's going to appear right here inside this thing. Now this is going to be funky, eh? This little calculator, because the calculator here, this area here that I'm showing, this text box, it looks like a text box. There is no text box in Create.js. It's just pixels, right? So whatever I'm displaying in this box here is almost like a mini canvas that I'm going to have to wipe away and so on and fix this up. So this is almost going to be a little container that's going to show me my whatever I'm typing in there, right? Okay, so I got to remember that. I have to make a container, another separate container to show my stuff that's going to float only in here and not spill out over here ever. I never want it to spill out. I want it to always be inside here. Okay, cool. Let's do a couple of functions. Maybe add, subtract, multiply, and divide. How about those? And maybe an equal sign. Right, so I need those ones. So I probably can take this column here of stuff. So that's enough of them. And by the way, guys, I'm just plotting as I go, right? Okay, I'm going to copy, paste. I'm going to move these ones over so that way they're over here as I'm designing my calculator. Actually, I'll put them right on the corners so they're a little bit separated from the numbers, right? And this will be addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. So click away. This will be addition, so the plus, right? This will be subtraction, the minus, right? This will be multiplication, a big capital X, right? Not the star, right? And this one will be division. Uh-oh, I don't have a division. I could try and find a symbol for division. You know what? That's probably a good idea for me to divide. But for now, to keep the same as a computer, I'm going to use this slash. So this, if I want to keep the same as a computer, this would be an asterisk, right? Make sense? So this is what my calculator is going to look like. Oh wait, I'm missing the equal sign. Where would I put that? Probably down here. You know what? I'm not liking this, guys. Not liking it at all. All right. So maybe some kind of bigger rectangle down here, because when I do equals, I want to press the rectangle. So I'm going to kind of go here. Oops. Here, plot it in there, and make sure that it's the right size. And it looks like I may have to realign a few things in a second. Because look, it's kind of low here. I'm not really happy with that. And you know what? I'm not happy with the size. I'm going to make it the size of maybe 2 buttons. There we go. That's 2 buttons down there as I'm plotting. And you know, I want to move all this stuff up. So I'm kind of going to select all. Let's see if I can lock this thing down. Sometimes they allow you to lock these things around, so you don't have to. I don't want to, you know, kind of access thing. Sometimes most of the better programs allow you to lock stuff down, right? Unfortunately for this, right, I don't think it allows you to lock it down, right? But normally if you can lock, then what happens is, what does it say? Hotspots and links. Oh, it does have a lock. But I bet you the lock, here we go. There we go, lock's on. That means if I highlight this, not only this, that's good, that's good, that's very good, that's very good. All right, well I want to highlight all this because I want to move this up a little bit. I'm using my kind of by point, move it up a little bit, just so that way, where are we at here? Top 125, that's good. So that way I have a little bit more space for my button on the bottom, because I think it was just too close. Right? All right, what do you think? Kind of a weird calculator, it's not perfect, right? But it is what it is, right? I have to definitely put a label in there, and I have a label right here, right? Which, there it is. I want to grab that label, and I know it's like 28. So I'm going to grab this label, I drag and drop it in here, right in the middle, right? And that's not what I wanted. And then put in an equal sign, right? So equal sign in there. And the equal sign's got to be bigger than that. It can't be that small, so I'm going to make it like 28 again, right, to make it big. Right, and if I want to make sure, I can kind of put it in the middle. Same thing with these ones. If I want to realign these ones here, I can kind of realign them so they're all in the middle. Because once you've changed the numbers around, these sides are slightly different than the numbers. They probably will look a little off because they're a little smaller than a regular number, right? There we go. All right, so that kind of makes what my calculator is going to look like. I've got my wireframe, right? Now I can start looking for or making buttons like this if I want to. Okay, well here's something maybe I can do. Maybe I can save this whole thing and use these buttons, these little blank buttons I made, right, for my design, right? How do I do that? Well, first let's unblock this one, right? And let's see if I can highlight the whole thing. Right? So everything's highlighted. Methinks, right? And let's see if I can right-click copy. I'm not sure if this would work.
The buttons itself.
Let's see. And how about a save? Maybe I have to log in probably to save, eh? Yeah. My guess, right? So let's log in, right? So I can save my stuff. I think I have one. If not, you can make one. It's free. My guess, right? If not, yeah, maybe later. All right. And then, well, this is good. That means I'm logged in now as me, right? So I should be able to save this up, right? And save it as, or export it, or whatever I want to do with it, right? Okay, cool. So I've got my arrange, I've got my grouping, I can group things around as well, you know, and I've got this piece which is share and preview, right? And I've got this one which is settings. All right, warning, your project cannot be saved. You have reached the maximum number of active projects, right? Let's take a look at my active well, if I go active projects, I wonder if I lose this thing, right? Well, maybe later, right? And I'm sure I do have active projects in here or whatever that I've, and it says Go Premium, obviously. But the idea here is that I want to be able to do this, right? Lock it down. Let's group all this together. There we go. It's all one now. Right, here it is. Let's go and if I click on active projects, hopefully, oh, here it is. I got a couple of active projects here, so I'm going to delete these ones. Yeah, delete them. Yeah, okay, good. And let's get out of here and go back in here. And now let's click, hopefully be able to save, no problem. So I'm going to go to top left corner here. And now I should be able to do that for free, right? Because I only have one project, right? So let's see how this goes. My bad because I didn't log in, right? So I'm going to save project as, and we're going to call this calculator, and save project. Yay, it's saved. Okay, I'm going to go to mockups down here, and then I'm going to export. I want to export this thing. Let's see if I can do this. It says I can do PDF ping, right? Ping ×2 for Retina, right? What do I want to do? And I can export to my computer, Google Drive, or Dropbox, right? I think what I want to do is ping ×2. Why would I want to do ping ×2, guys? Because the higher resolution the image is, right, the better, right? But the problem is I want it just to be exactly what I just did, so I don't have to kill myself, right? So I'm going to click ping, right, and then go to my computer, and then it says upgrade your plan to enable ping export and other seriously awesome features, maybe later, which means I can't do it, right? And the other bad thing I can do, which is I don't recommend you do this, but hey, I can do this because I want to copy this. I can always do a screen capture, right? Worst case scenario. So let's just border it where I have it, right? So exactly where I need it. And then I'll do a screen capture of this puppy. So I'll go la la la, right? And I'll do a screen capture, and then you know what? It'll convert to ping anyway, and I can do it like this for now. I recommend though, if you like the tool, you should definitely use it, right? I'm going to open this up with Fireworks because that's the kind of guy that I am, right? All right, here's my calculator in Fireworks, right? And I've got each of the buttons. This is my map, if you will. I don't need my untitled window. That's just a way that this thing looks, right? I definitely need this, right? Because this is going to be where my thing is working. So these are my assets that I'm going to build out. So for today, before I continue this thing, we'll be able to finish it today. But at least for next day, we'll have all of our assets, and I'll create the repository for you. How about that? So first things first, I got to grab these assets because they're pretty simple, right? So one thing is I want to color my buttons a different color because you know what? White's pretty boring, right? So maybe I can color them out. So I want to kind of get my buttons colored, and you know what? I want my background color to be a little bit better than red. Maybe I want to give it kind of a bluish color, right? So all my buttons, or maybe my background or my calculator is going to be like a gray. Let's do that first. So my background is going to be like a gray color for my calculator. Yeah, that's what my calculator is going to look like. And then my buttons, well actually my buttons don't look bad like this, if I want to. But let's just call them, I want to make my buttons a little bit of a lighter gray. So maybe this gray. Oh, that's too dark. Lighter. Even lighter. Where's CCC? D, C, that's pretty light. D might be okay. See? Yeah, that's okay. So my buttons are, that's bad. Okay. So, well, I'll fix that in a second because I got to go in there and fix the buttons. So I'm making these custom buttons the way it is. And maybe this button here will keep as white just because it looks a little different. All right, that's cool. I'm definitely going to zoom in here, right? To fix my buttons. You can use any program you want to do this. I'm just using Fireworks again, but you can use Photoshop or Paint or whatever. I don't recommend Paint only because it's just, you know, a poor program. And I'm going to go in here, if you notice, even in the middle, and well, it is compared to what you can do here. But GIMP is really good. GIMP is, you know, it's freeware and it's good to use. So all I'm doing is painting in the middle of the buttons to make sure that they look good. So there we go. I've got some basic buttons, guys. Nothing too flashy, and it's pretty good here. All right, cool. I'm going to go this, and let's go zoom back out. So I'm going to go to 100% to see what it looks like. So this is what 100% looks like. This is what my calculator skin will look like if I want to just keep it the way it is. I don't need this title, but I do need these things here, right? And I don't need, I can cut this a little closer. So let's just cut it closer. So I don't need the title. I'm going to use my cropping tools here to cut this thing. And guys, you don't have to be artists to do this. This is just like rectangles, right? And I'm going to zoom in. Ooh, zoom in. And go here. Make sure that I'm cutting as closely as I can, so that I don't have any additional information that I'm going to save in my ping object. All right. So there's a couple of approaches I can take here to making my calculator. I could take this whole thing, skin it, right, and use this completed skin as my calculator. But there's a bad thing to this. The bad thing is that my buttons wouldn't be interactive, right? So that's bad. Okay, so that's one bad thing. The other thing is I could use the calculator the way it is for other things, and I'll show you that in a second. So let's first get some of these piece parts. So first, I want to crop everything else outside of my calculator. So that's probably as accurate as I'm going to get. I'm going to go File, Save As. This is where I'm going to first start using my my stuff. In my downloads, I'm going to create a new folder. So here's my new folder that I'm going to call Calculator. Calculator project, right? Here's my calculator project. Inside my new folder, I'm going to double click there to get the context. Right, here's my calculator project. I'm going to save this thing, right, as my calculator skin, or skin. Right, so there it is. My skin is saved, right? Now what I want to do, my skin, save my skin, that's right. Now what I want to do is I want to go in there and crop different piece parts and then delete, and then undo. So I'm going to get the next piece. Now again, you can grab calculator images from the web, but they won't be exactly this big. Right, so let me just zoom in here again. Hold on a second. As I do this. Insanity. So what are we doing here? Well, I'm grabbing these piece parts, right? And now I've got this image here, right? This is what I want to call it the area where I'm going to make my calculations. So this is my calculation container, if you will, or something like that, right? So let's save this file, save as, and we'll say calc container, right? My first object, right? I'm going to undo, right? Now I'm going to go crop the next piece. And guess what? I'm going to crop each of the buttons, right? Now you might say this is tedious, right? But you know, there's different ways of doing this approach. Like I said, you could download all your images from the internet as well, right? So File, Save As, you know, my 7 button. You get the picture, right? Right? Let me get the next one. And all I'm doing is undoing. I'm going in there, saving the buttons, cropping them out, right? And then when I crop them, right, File, Save As, really quickly, here's my 8 button, right? This isn't rocket science here, guys. Like, I'm doing it as I'm going, right? I'm not going to get this finished before we're done for the day. But I'm going to have everything up on GitHub for you for today. And so when next time we get together, we can use these assets, you know, to kind of put together a little calculator idea. File, Save As, right, the 9 button. Any questions? I'm going to stop here, right, to get all this, to get your UI going, right? And you're going to ask me, I know the question is going to come up, okay, Tom, you get all the buttons. How do you put the UI together in Create.js? Well, that's the topic of next week, right? So we're going to get all these buttons together, and as soon as I'm done, we're going to talk about how to put this whole thing together, the skinning, the whole thing, get it into Create.js next week, and then you'll see how the buttons work. And we're going to talk about the next project, which is going to be the calculator, the slot machine, which is largely going to do what I'm doing here with buttons. I'm going to press the button, and it's going to roll the you know, it's kind of make the slot machine work.
Is the slot machine the thing that you pull the ball and then?
We'll talk about that. Yeah. No, that's not it. No. All right. So just to say, I'm going to save this up the way it is. Here, oh, I'm going to undo that. Save this as my 9 button. That's not my 9 button. Hold on. That's crazy. I can't believe I saved that as my 9 button, right?
Yeah,
all right.
What is it? Oh, it's that.
Slot machine, yeah.
thought it was the thing where the two buttons and then the ball is going around. That's the thing. The ball might fall out.
All right, file, save as. Sorry, I made a mistake. 9 button. There we go. Save as.
Oh.
And undo. So next week we'll get together, we'll do the rest. But if you notice, I've got some of my buttons in my downloads under my calculator project. And I'm going to continue to get these buttons. And we're going to take these images and put them together on our CreateJS project and create an interactive calculator for the web. Okay, and that's it for me today.